It's like a GPS, but with way better music. The Backseat Drive with Shadoe Davis on 92 Citi FM.
Randy here.
Hi, Randy. It's Shadoe Davis calling from Citi FM in Winnipeg. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good, thanks.
Great.
So listen, how do you feel? I know you're a Winnipeg expat. Hearing this news on Tuesday must have been a pretty good vibe, huh?
Yeah, it feels great, and I've been waiting for it for a long time. I felt that when the Jets left, Winnipeg really lost some spirit because, you know, I still come there 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times a year. My manager's there, my brother Gary's there, and I do concerts there either with myself or with Turner or with Cummings. I've been there a lot.
Yeah.
And you just kind of sense a loss of there's nothing to cheer for. I mean, you got the Bombers in the summer, but you need cheering in the off season, which Winnipeg is the longest season.
Yeah, no kidding.
So you really kind of need something to get you through the long, cold, hard winters, other than playing in starting a rock band and practicing in your basement. You know.
Well, that's where you started out all those years ago.
Yeah.
I don't want to go on about how long you've been in this business. I don't want to go on about your early years because, Randy, everybody already knows all those things about you. But how about this name, Jeff Bartlett? He's the guy from Slave Lake.
Oh, yeah.
Who lost his guitar in that fire, and you sent him a brand new one.
Well, it wasn't new. It's the one I had played in the Guest Reunion since 2001. That's in our video we shot in Winnipeg. It's new, but, you know, it's not old vintage, but it's one that I got and played for 5, 6, 7, 8 years.
Yeah.
And way back, you know, when I got my first guitar in Winnipeg, and I played it on Shakin' All Over, I played it on Taking Care of Business, and when that guitar was stolen, I'm telling you, it's like seeing your dog run over in the street in front of your house. You're so off kilter and offset and upset for months and months and months and months. And so when I heard about the tragedy in Great Slave Lake, and this guy who was a good musician, I didn't really know who he was till I just saw his picture on the internet. And I remember he came to a show I did a few years ago with Cummings, I think, and in the Maritimes somewhere. I remember signing a guitar for him or something.
Yeah, well, I'm reading this article out of, I think it's the Vancouver Sun, that was published yesterday, and here's his quote. I'm not sure if you've heard this yet. Oh my God, I can't believe it. I'm just blown away. Wow, he sent the case and all.
Yeah, I saw that. Somebody just sent me a YouTube, so they actually have him opening the case.
Oh, cool.
And he's saying, what is this? What is this? And he picks it up, and he sees that I wrote on it, Rock On, Randy Bachman. And to see some tears in his eyes brought tears to my eyes.
How does it feel being a guy that's written so many legendary songs? Do you think of it in those terms, or is it just music that came out of you somewhere along the way?
No, it's music that came out of me with hopes and dreams, and I say this to a lot of people. For every song of mine that they remember, and I'm fortunate to have a dozen or so of them, there's probably 1,200 or 3,000 or 4,000 that are quite forgettable. So you just got to keep doing it and doing it and doing it. As you see with the long careers of Bob Dylan, Neil Young, even myself, you got to go out and trip and fall and have a miss once in a while and strike out a few times. Makes you more determined to get the next home run. Whenever that pitch comes and you swing with all your might, you never know when you're going to hit something out of the park and win a game.
Yeah. I just read an article, I think it was last night. You're obviously a big John Lennon fan, and you used to, back in your early days, move to help the drummer keep his beat, I think it was.
Yeah.
John Lennon did the same thing, and I recall, and one of our copywriters, Doug, just asked me to ask you this. John was asked, of all the songs written that you haven't written, which one did you wish that you wrote? And John said, all of them. I want them all to be mine. I'm going to ask you that question, Randy. Of all the songs out there that you didn't write, which one do you wish you had written?
Oh man, I would take half of John Lennon's answer and say half of them. There's so many great songs. I mean, how would you like to have written Yesterday? Do you know what I mean? It's an amazing, amazing song. It's covered by literally thousands of people have done that song. Or Imagine, do you know what I mean? Something like that just rips your heart out and makes you cry every time you hear it. That's a song.
Yeah.
that just goes on. It's called an evergreen. You write an evergreen song, and that song will always be green. It'll always be played by the old generation and all the new generations because it touches them in the same way.
When these songs come out of people such as yourself, you have to wonder, are they structured? Are they, or is it just something that just comes out of you one day?
Sometimes you sit down and plan to write a song, and I would show up. It doesn't matter who I'm writing with, somebody in Nashville or London or with Burton Cummings or with whoever. It doesn't matter. Yeah. You show up with rhyming dictionaries, little stolen lines you've taken from a Beatles song or a Dylan song or a Neil Young song, little new words that rhyme, a great chord progression, a great lick that you take and cut in half and invert so hopefully nobody recognizes it. And you show up with all these wonderful bits and pieces, and you put them together, and they sound like bits and pieces you put together.
Yeah.
And then in a moment you go, wait a minute. And you open up and you start writing or recording something down, and this thing comes through you, or it happens on stage, as like when I wrote American Woman or Taking Care of Business, right on stage.
Yeah.
And you become a conduit for the god of song or the angel of song has said, are you ready? And they shoot an arrow, and it comes and sticks in your head or your heart, and you open up, and this song comes through, and you go, what's happening? And you see the audience reacting, and you go, this is a moment I'll never forget. And it's true, because the people at that moment love the song, and they never let you forget that moment. Every time I do Taking Care of Business on stage or American Woman, which are those instant kind of songs, and I start that song. In that instant, I feel the same zap, and so does the audience, and they're all to their feet, and their hands are in the air, and that makes all the traveling worthwhile, because the worst thing about being a musician is like being an athlete. How would you like to have a home game every couple of days in the week? You've got to go and play your away games, and
yeah.
You're kind of homesick and heartbroken, and things are going on back home, and you can't deal with them because you've got to concentrate 101% on the game. So when you're a musician, every night there's a game. At least when you're on a team, you play once or twice a week. When you're out on tour, a musician, your game is every single night, and everyone who's paying their dollars wants you to be 101% that night, whether you got a bad back or a cold or a smashed foot or your roof's leaking at home, or you know what I mean? All that stuff that's going on.
Has it been easy to recapture the magic with Fred?
It's been absolutely wonderful, because we both knew enough to leave behind some old baggage, embrace today and tomorrow, realize we are each other's really old, dearest friends. And, there's several of us who came out of Winnipeg in the 60s, Burton Cummings, myself, Fred Turner, and Neil Young. All four of us there had dreams. I've heard other people refer to us as the Four Horsemen, who rode out of town with their dreams in our backpacks, and we're still riding around the world. And that's just a wonderful story. When a guy came to the Winnipeg airport and told me that in tears one day. He was wearing a paint suit, one of those white suits, because he was a painter.
Right.
And he came running into the airport, and he said, I just saw you play last night, and I used to be in a band in the 60s, and I'm so glad you're one of the Four Horsemen. I said, what are you talking about? You're one of the Four Horsemen of the Winnipeg apocalypse from the 60s, and you rode out of town with all of our dreams in your guitar case in your backpack, and you're still riding around the world, and we're all really proud of you. And I thought, holy cow, what a great story. What a great thing to